Alright. Hello. So, yesterday night, we didn't get to the replay Chinese Grand Prix, so we're gonna do it today, and I'm gonna practice some commentary. That Dr. Pepper is very good. Alright, let's go. One, two, three, 4, 5 lights on. Go! The Chinese Grand Prix is underway. Beta gets ahead. He's trying to get ahead of Max and Lando, and he does! Right before the first turn, Lando and Max keep position, and Beta leads the race already. Before the first sector, he's even over. What a start by Nerdy Beta. Lando and Max are scarping out behind them, but they will be trying to catch Beta. Beta will be trying to make a big enough gap before the DRS opens. The Haas and the Williams are fighting behind. Carlos Sainz, the highest he's been. The Haas passes Carlos Sainz. What a start by the Haas of, I believe, Esteban Ocon. This is just an incredible start to the Chinese Grand Prix. Oh my. The rest of the order is mostly unchanged. Where can Piastri go? Starting from so far back, and Beta's teammate, Leclerc. This is not looking good for the championship battle. But there is still 27 laps to go of this race, so anything can really happen to fix this championship. Lando and Max will be trying to go catch Beta and get within that DRS range. Carlos Sainz will be looking to try to make a pass back on the Haas of Esteban Ocon, who had passed him earlier. Beta moving out. It looks like Carlos is trying to make a pass on the Haas. Oh my, how will that turn out for him? And Carlos Sainz does make it past the Haas. That is a great move by the Spaniard. Alright, we are on lap 2 of the Chinese Grand Prix, and it does look like the DRS wings will be open in the next zone. Esteban Ocon trying to fight back on Carlos Sainz. This is looking like to be an interesting battle here. Beta is still leading the race, not comfortably, but he's managing his stuff right now. Either that or he's pushing the tires way too much, which could bite back at him early or later during this race. I do what I want. Okay, here we are. We are at the DRS detection zone. Is Lando close enough? Will he get that rear wing opened? Which would help him try to catch up to the Ferrari of Nerdy Beta. And would help Max too. Does he get the rear wing open? Can't quite see it in this camera view. Rear wing for Lando is not open. Only Max has received DRS from Lando. This is critical racing from Nerdy Beta. Oh wow, look at the gap just eking out from Nerdy Beta. Max and Lando are going at it through the first turn. I will mention now, I did get surgery today on my, to open up a gap for my left canine. Still kind of funny. So it's hurting, I might leave midstream. Now we seem pretty okay. So far so good. Painkillers. Casuals. I'll probably make a video of these. Hello Slush, hello CR7, sorry. I didn't have my chat opened. Oh my. Yeah, my tooth feels a little bit funny, I can't lie. Like they put like a chain on it or something. Anyways, back to racing. Can Lando get the DRS open? The gap between Lando and Max has opened up quite a substantial amount, but not nearly enough for Lando to get that DRS open and stay safe from the Dutchman. Still a battle for the lead. I'm doing alright. I've been better. My mouth is very uncomfortable, but I can talk. Let's look at the state of the Ferrari tires. Does look like he's turning this quite a lot. Alright, on to lap was this 5 of the Chinese Grand Prix. Can Lando get the DRS open to try to shrink the gap between him and Nerdy Beta? The gap still looks massive from my view here. Lando once again not getting the DRS open, which will not be helpful in the race here. Looks like Lando and Max Verstappen are still right on each other for this championship battle. Max is just quite far behind. He's just not close enough to get that move done. Right on Lando's rear end. Nerdy Beta is still eking out that gap as he should be doing. Gap is getting smaller and smaller. It does look like Lando is very close behind him. I think this is the lap. I think this is the lap that Lando finally gets that DRS open. Oh yes, Lando's much closer to Beta than he was last time around. Hello, car legend. Lando Norris does get the DRS open, so does Max Verstappen. So now, Beta now has a fight on his hand here. Dips it a little bit into the curb there, but nowhere near enough to cause an accident. Any mistake from Beta is crucial here. He has to be very careful with how he saves his battery and how he defends against the car, the McLaren of Lando Norris. Lando is eking away from Max Verstappen, which would be quite helpful to take off a little bit of pressure from the rear end. Lando Norris. Beta and Lando still going at it here. Tiny little straightaway here. Lando's right behind Nerdy Beta. And Lando, he goes for the send, he bumps Beta, he makes the move on Nerdy Beta. Lando Norris passes Nerdy Beta for the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. What will Beta do? I don't recall seeing who passed the DRS detection zone first. It looks like it was the Ferrari of Nerdy Beta, who's going to try to make the overtake back on Lando Norris, and he does so. It is very tight into this small hairpin corner. Lando Norris looks like he stays ahead of the Ferrari, but not for long, considering there's another DRS zone here. What will happen? DRS of the Red Bull and the Ferrari are both open. Is Nerdy Beta gonna try to make the move around the outside of the McLaren? They're going at it here into the first few corners of the Chinese Grand Prix. They're still fighting, and it looks like it will be Nerdy Beta's position, but Lando is still right there. He's still right side by side with Nerdy Beta. Where will the position stack up? He switches back. He goes down the inside of Lando Norris. Lando Norris is switching back once again on Nerdy Beta. Nerdy Beta has to block off Max Verstappen. Wow, what a fight we have just witnessed here. Nerdy Beta will eat the dirty air of Lando Norris, which will not help him very much here. But hopefully he can stay behind and keep the gap just good enough where that DRS will be very useful for Nerdy Beta. What a battle we just witnessed here. Okay, where can Nerdy Beta try to regain his lead? Where can Nerdy Beta try and overtake Lando Norris? He will receive the DRS onto his least favorite corner of the circuit. It looks like Lando has a good gap from Nerdy Beta, but Nerdy Beta is very smart with his energy store, so he will use that to his advantage. Nerdy Beta will try and take the inside line through the hairpin. They almost make contact, and Nerdy Beta is through. Or is he? Because Lando is right there. Yes, Nerdy Beta has made the position on Lando Norris. Wow, what a fight. What an overtake. Pretty solid overtake there by Nerdy Beta, but he does have a lack of energy store here. Also, the McLaren and the Red Bull jittering behind the Ferrari. But it looks like the Ferrari leads the race once again. Max is not far behind the both of them, though. Probably gained plenty of time through that battle. Lando is going to try to go back on Nerdy Beta. Nerdy Beta doesn't have much energy store. Lando is switching to the left, switching to the right. They make contact. I swear they've touched. Nerdy Beta sticks it around the outside of Lando Norris. And will he keep the position? Lando is still right next to him. Nerdy Beta is going to keep it on the inside line. And Nerdy Beta keeps the position. Wow. Incredible stuff. I swear I don't remember the battle looking this cool when I was driving it. But anywho, Nerdy Beta leads the race once again, but his battery store, if you couldn't see by the flickering light, is very much gone. Lando Norris is gonna try, he's gonna try to go around the outside of Nerdy Beta, which would give Nerdy Beta the DRS. What is Lando doing? He knows that Nerdy Beta can use that DRS to his advantage and take the position right back from him. This is the right call. Carlos Sainz is now in the mix for the fight to the lead of this race. Nerdy Beta is going to try to go around the inside. Max Verstappen go around the outside. No, he stays behind Lando. Nerdy Beta takes the lead of the race again with another dive bomb. Or does he? Lando looks like he got a good exit, but not good enough for the Ferrari. Incredible stuff, really. Carlos Sainz does now have the DRS on Lando, Max, and me, actually. Quite a battle for fourth team, 4-car battle for the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix, for the win in the Chinese Grand Prix. Oh wow, look at how all the cars are synchronized. It's quite beautiful. Quite beautiful. I can't wait to see how these cars stack up next to each other in the 2026 regulations. I hope it's just as good, because this, all these drivers, Nerdy Beta leading. See how he takes these next few corners in that Ferrari. Oh, Lando. Well, Lando overtakes. What lap are we on? Oh, I missed the red flag. Yeah, I skipped completely past the red. Red flag. Why was there a red flag? Not now. Carlos. Yeah, so it's that Connor, it's where it's not. Have a simple engine. I'm guessing that's what caused the red flag. Still an absolutely single fight from these four drivers. A four-way battle between these Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, and the Max Verstappen. Like Lando will do the move, the same move on Nerdy Beta, which gives him the DRS, which allows him to just fly right back past Lando Norris, but I don't know why he keeps doing it. Interesting, really. Beta will go for the send down the inside again. Lando is still next to him, but Nerdy Beta takes the position once again. Nerdy Beta's really struggling with that battery here. Either that or he's just flickering the red light for no reason. I don't exactly know what he's doing here. Battery, it's just flickering. Happens. Up again and again. Oh wait, we gotta go back to the red flag. I just reversal the red flag. Flag happens on the straight. We are here at the restart at the Chinese Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. Nerdy Beta gets a start. Gets a good start on Lando Norris, but Max Verstappen gets a better start on Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen takes the second place away from Nerdy Beta. The three all on medium tires. This is the strategy for them. We'd like to see the tire compound of Carlos Sainz to see if he's following suit. Nerdy Beta leads the race. He's trying to gap him once again, and Max Verstappen will be the one chasing Nerdy Beta instead of Lando. Will Beta change his racing tactics on defense against Max Verstappen differently than he does with Lando Norris? They are two very different drivers in the way they attack and the way they look in your rearview mirror. Looks like Carlos is dropping back. He may be on the harder compound of tire. Either that or he just can't stay in the dirty air of these four faster cars. Nerdy Beta will be using the lack of DRS to his advantage, hopefully trying to make a big enough gap before the DRS does come. enough for Beta? Will he be able to make a big enough gap in one lap before the DRS comes? The Red Bull and the McLaren are flying. Nerdy Beta pulls out of the way so they do not get that slipstream. Looks like Lando and Max are fighting quite a bit there. Looks like oh, what a slip! What a slip! There's a bit of a slip from Nerdy Beta. That is slightly suboptimal for the American driver. And it looks like the two, Red Bull and McLaren, will be given DRS. Lando Norris did pass Max Verstappen earlier. Guessing the DRS, but now we're on lap 16. This is the right lap. Lap 16 of the Chinese Grand Prix, and it looks like Carlos Sainz pulled into the pits. Yes, he did. Okay, Carlos Sainz is pit on lap 16. 28, I think. Yep, okay, so Beta leads with Lando in second and Max Verstappen in third. How will these three stack up when it comes to the pit sequence? It's all about pace. Who will be the first to pull the trigger of the big three here? Beta is eking out the gap there to Lando and Max Verstappen. Would be quite helpful to his race. Tires finally kicking in for the American driver. That is more than enough to the way Beta just goes so far offline. He'd really rather take dusty track than to give that slipstream. Driver pulled the trigger. Lando's dropping back quite a bit, so I think maybe he's losing grip here, or it's just going that much faster right now. Ferrari across the lap here in China. A car Ferrari have built for his 2025 season after coming out of championship winning 2020. F125. Beta is such an incredible driver. He won it in Formula 2. He won it in Formula 1 in his rookie season while driving for the very team that Lando's driving for right now. And he's driving for Ferrari now, and he carried Ferrari to a world championship. That is unbelievable. Now he's in his second season Formula 1 with Ferrari too, and he's winning again. And he's the first American driver to drive for Ferrari. He's probably the only American driver. Ferrari. Beta going a little less offline this time around. Maybe just try to keep his tires in good shape. Wow, let's really look at the condition of. Gotta say, they've seen better. Definitely losing some tire grip there. Lap 19. Lando Norris is in the pits. Max Verstappen is now the second place driver. I believe Max Verstappen and Nerdy Beta will be pitting this lap to get rid of those old mediums. How fast can Max go here to really try to get the gap to Nerdy Beta down to as low as possible? How fast can Nerdy Beta go to get fastest in lap as possible. How fast Nerdy strategy of this race. It is out of ERS here. Battery, but it looks like it's Nerdy Beta pulls in. Quite off track there, but down to the speed. Look at the condition of those mediums. Wow. Out of the pits. Comes out ahead of Max Verstappen. Looks like Carlos Sainz gets ahead of him. Will Lando get ahead of him? Yes, Lando and Lance Stroll are both ahead of Nerdy Beta. This undercut, the overcut, isn't looking good for the American and Dutch driver. Especially Max Verstappen, who now has a Williams ahead of him. How will this all end up for American, the Dutchman? American driver behind Lance Stroll and Lando Norris. And looking to hope to get past Lance Stroll's. Very soon, he's right on his rear end here. And Nerdy Beta make a move, and if he is gonna make a move, he better make it now. Is Nerdy Beta gonna go for a send? He doesn't. He stays behind the Canadian driver. What a race Lance Stroll's having, keeping up with a world champion. But it looks like Nerdy Beta is going to go for the send. What a move by Nerdy Beta. The Lance Stroll was on the older tires. That is a brave send. Now Lando Norris will be looking to defend the world champion. Nerdy Beta will be trying to go after Lando Norris here. Lando Norris will be trying to put Carlos Sainz in between him and the world champion. Maybe have a chance of getting here, getting podium. We're getting the win here. Enough. Looks like Nerdy Beta is looking to try and make a move on Lando Norris, but he's just in the right spot. Well, there's a little bit of contact in between the two. I think Nerdy Beta is getting desperate here. Disparity kicks in for the American driver. Try to get past Lando Norris, because I believe he is losing time behind him. Nerdy Beta has more pace than that McLaren. That McLaren's fast, but the Nerdy Beta is faster. He wants to get past Lando. He wants to get past Lando. He wants to win this race. That's what he's here to do. Doesn't do that, I'm sure he will be very disappointed with his week. 5th or 4th place in this run. I can't exactly recall right now. Not going to be accepting under Nerdy. Nerdy will have the DRS on Lando. Lando will have the DRS on Carlos Sainz. There, will they all stack up? Will they all stack up for an overtaking move on this hairpin with the hard braking zone? Lando gets the DRS. No, Lando doesn't get the DRS open. But Nerdy Beta does, but he's just not close enough with Lando in the slipstream up. A little bit of contact there between Lando and the Ferrari. Lando really has to put up some pep in his step before the Ferrari of Nerdy Beta gets past him. Oh, Nerdy Beta slips a little, but Nerdy Beta has the rear wing open right by Lando Norris. He's going to try to make a move like he did a few laps ago on Lando Norris, actually. No, he does not, but he's still right there. Look how close these two are. I see debris flying everywhere because they're hitting each other. Making contact so close these two drivers are with each other. Max Verstappen isn't far behind Nerdy Beta, but he's not going to go for... Nerdy Beta has a car in front of him, which is... Verstappen. on board with motivated here, trying to get past the British driver and trying to get past the Spaniard for the first. Carlos Sainz keeping a very okay pace here to keep these fast on the lesser tires. Impressive, what performance. And get that rear wing open, but that gap between Dirty Beta and Max Verstappen, maybe that's the fight we should have been worrying about. Time. Oh, it looks like Lando is going to fight the Williams of Carlos Sainz. Lando does get past the Williams of Carlos Sainz. Now Beta is stuck behind the Williams. Very smart move by Lando, getting past that Williams, putting him and the Ferrari of Nerdy Beta, but Nerdy Beta will make quick work of that slower Williams, or he will try to. When will he? Is he going to try to pull an outside move? No, he sends it down the inside, but not for long. He knows he has to back out. He knows that's a dangerous move, or will he back out? It looks like he's still fighting Carlos Sainz here. He goes for a send down the inside. What a move by Nerdy Beta. Goes for the switchback, and that allows Max Verstappen to fly right past him. Or does it? Carlos Sainz has the slipstream of Nerdy Beta. He's fighting the 4-time world champion. And it looks like Carlos Sainz is going to still keep Max Verstappen behind him. Wow, what a day for Carlos Sainz. He is looking at a podium here, but I don't know how long he can keep the angry Dutchman behind him. The Dutchman gets a close enough look at Carlos, and he will pass him. DRS zone long back straightaway will be more than enough for Max to pass Carlos Sainz. Carlos had a bit of a slip there. Comes Dirty Beta, maybe he'll try to close the gap on Lando Norris, as he does not want Lando to win. Between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, Max will get that DRS open. I think it's game over. Max passes Carlos Sainz. He's passing him right before the DRS detection part. And Max Verstappen takes the position away from Carlos Sainz. Will still be very satisfied with that fourth place image inside of it. Great day for Carlos. But here comes Nerdy Beta. He's blasting his energy. Nerdy Beta try and go around the outside like he did many laps ago. Nerdy Beta is going to try to send it. The McLaren is still side by side with him. And Nerdy Beta takes the position around the outside the first few turns. Oh my, oh me, oh my. Nerdy Beta is still keeping the position, still holding it. Lando is not giving that one up. Lando does not want Nerdy Beta to win this race, but it does not matter because Lando just doesn't have enough. Nerdy Beta is simply faster than him. God, what a race that they did. Lap 28 of this race. Keep the live HUD on. I don't have the HUD. Down to the final lap of this from Max Verstappen and good race here. This is an incredible race between these three drivers, but it will come down to one. Final lap of this race. Lando Norris trying to get his position back. Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen be able to set it is flying, not his fastest sectors of the race, but he's still going way faster than his last lap. Maybe he had saved up all of that ERS for this moment here, for the moment to go and run away from the world champion and the British driver in that McLaren, the Papaya McLaren. Carlos Sainz is looking at a fourth place finish. Hopefully Lance Stroll will be able to try to get past, maybe get a good battle between those two. Lando Norris is going to go to the DRS detection point. It's looking like a safe race if the car behind isn't not within 1 second of him. Right here. Faster than him. Okay. Nerdy Beta on to the penultimate corners of this race. Nerdy Beta has executed a beautiful race for Ferrari here in China. Nerdy Beta will cross the final corner. He will see the checkered flag first. He will see his team. Nerdy Beta wins the Chinese Grand Prix. What a race by him. What a race by the world champion who does a bit of a celebratory slip for his championship. For his championship standings. What a race for these two. And Carlos Sainz. Did Carlos make it a podium for Aston Martin? No, Stroll had just got ahead of Carlos Sainz. Ahead of Oscar Piastri, who finishes in 6th from starting 18th on the grid. Race between these two. Beta's in first in the standings with Max Verstappen 11 points behind him, not far behind. Another good race by Max Verstappen will definitely shrink that gap. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at my experience. My awareness goes up. 6'7". I'm not funny. Accolade. '50 Drivers' Championship point. First in the standing. Qualifying the other one. Oh, I qualified third. And I'm gonna dominate that race, everyone.